Alright, this is going to be my last attempt to record this demo, but basically the gist of it is I'm I'm an asshole. No. Okay, I'm gonna just try to get to level 9, hopefully 10, after installing an update. I was gonna try this with the Atari style paddle, but it looks like my prototype broke, so I'm gonna use one of the modern paddles that looks like this. The Atari style one is much better, so I'm sad. All right, I'm just gonna try it. So there was an update today where I set the priority to critical, and I disabled VSync and set the swap interval to 0. So basically, it's in general, what I'm trying to do is eliminate any extra frame buffering outside of the frame buffering happening in the emulator, on the emulator side. I mean, in the 6502 emulated side. So there's no more redundant frame buffering causing input lag. And I even changed the time delay between frames to be more accurately calculate the delay so that it's more like lockstep with 60 FPS, which should feel smoother. Let's just go for it. Go full screen there. Whoops. And so the general idea is to see if I can get to level 9. And with some real luck, I would even want it to go to level 10. And I'm trying a new thing, which is I'm gonna tell stories about what it's like to grow up in the 80s. And today, the story I've been telling in my multiple takes has to do with going to summer camp. Oof. In the 80s. So like in the 80s, my parents sent me to a camp. It was like a science camp. And actually it was awesome because I learned they taught us how to solder, like do electronics, radio and electronics. We learned a little bit of ham radio. Some kids learned to work on like car repairs, like auto shop stuff. I did not. In retrospect, I wish I had. But the story that's come to mind recently is a little bit maybe squeamish for some, but has to do with knives. So when they sent us away to these camps in the 80s, sometimes your parents were instructed to buy their kids a pocket knife, like a survival knife type thing. And yeah, it was like survival gear, basically. And I had a camp counselor named Paul Cook from Ireland who was quite enthusiastic about his knife and keeping it sharp. I must have while I was at that camp, maybe our parents gave us money, like an allowance, because I must have bought a knife while I was at the camp. Because I'm pretty sure I had a standard Swiss Army knife. But I think with my own money, I must have bought an extra sharp, pointy knife. Like not like a utility knife, not like not like a Swiss Army knife has all sorts of useful stuff on it, like a saw or a corkscrew or a can opener. So more like a survival tool. The one that I bought looked more like it was meant for stabbing, kind of. I mean, it was small, like 4 inches maybe, 3 inches. But it was very pointy. Like it had a pointy tip. And that's important for this story because, oh no, this is not a good game. So the deal is, what I've decided to do with, instead of trying millions of takes of these playtests, is if I have a target to hit like level 9, is I'm gonna power through and bring you along for the ride. But hopefully, with 2 lives left, I will make it. So this knife, I guess I bought it with a sharpening whetstone, and I was enthusiastically sharpening my knife every day, multiple times a day. And one of our scheduled events at this summer camp was, I think we had like a weekend trip to some campground that we had to drive to. And I think we all got on a bunch of vans or something. Wait, I'm concentrating. Oh! My mistake was trying to juggle the 2 balls. So we packed up and showed up at this campground where there was like a lake or a pond, and all right, level 6. I'm gonna power through. Try to go to like level 9. So we get to the campground. There's like a lake, and I pick up a stick and proceeded to whittle the stick, which is like, just sort of shaving bits off of the stick. And I'm not sure if I was trying to just sharpen it into a poking stick or sculpt it into something, but at some point I guess I got tired of my stick and decided to throw it. So you gotta picture me with my sharp pointy knife and a stick. Knife is in my left hand. For some reason I guess I moved it to my left hand. Sometimes I wonder if I have left-handed tendencies. I'm one of these people that was raised to be right-handed, but I do a lot of things left-handed. But anyway, I threw the stick with my right hand, and my knife was in my left hand, and the knife wound up in my right elbow. So I should probably just fast forward through the rest of it, because it's not like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I I may have been young, only like something like 12 years old, but for some reason the sight of blood didn't bother me. That's kind of weird though, isn't it? But anyway, in retrospect, I'm like, why wasn't that a big deal to me? Well, it wasn't. And there was blood dripping down my arm. So I went and told a counselor. They drove me to emergency room, where they proceeded to put medical tape over my gaping wound. But there wasn't really any blood. There was just it, it looked like chicken fat poking through my wound. But it was, I guess, keeping the blood from dripping out. I guess. I don't know. But the reason I've been thinking about this knife wound is because I recently had a little mishap in the kitchen and cut my thumb. And it really reminded me of this time when I was younger. So, but my thumb is fine. You know, similar to them just putting medical tape on my wound when I was a kid. A couple weeks ago when I cut my thumb, the doctor just applied what they call dermabond, which is actually cyanoacrylate glue, also known as super glue. But of course, when I said, "Oh, I have that. I could just do this at home," they were like, "No, but this stuff is sterile." And of course, they're gonna say that. They don't want to, because I'm sure the stuff I have at home's not as sterile. Ooh, that's not good. Anyway. But I did end up, over the next week or so, reapply the glue to my wound multiple times, because I had it wrapped up and it would get like kind of soggy and the stuff would just peel off. But I wasn't satisfied. I wanted it to be glued shut. I wanted my wound to heal perfectly. And so I just re-glued it every day. Oh my god, I'm doing terribly. And I think I did a good job of gluing my thumb back together, because there's really no scar at all. There's no mark, nothing. But it scared the living shit out of me when I did that. It was a really irresponsible thing that I did with that knife. You know, when you're doing something, you're cutting something, and you know you're cutting it in the wrong direction, like you're cutting it towards a body part. And you know that if you slip, you're gonna cut that thing. And I knew it. And then it happened. And you know, it's like you see it, rewind it through your brain multiple times, and you play it in, you played it in slow motion as it was happening, and it's just, you feel so stupid. And I did. I felt really stupid, and I am stupid. But the thing is, like, when you go 30 years without wounding yourself, you start to think, oh, I got this. There's no problem here. I know what I'm doing. And then that's when they get ya. All right. I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I keep telling the same story over and over into this mic. This is unbelievable. Well, I might as well tell another story. So, what else happened in the 80s? I got a good one. It's another kind of bloody story. It's really weird. In the 80s, and maybe today too, roller skates were kind of a big deal. And I was in grade school. It might have been a weekend, but I was hanging out with my friends, and I had my roller skates on, not rollerblades. But I don't know. I think I was the only one wearing roller skates. Wait, does this have anything to do with roller skates? Why do I remember having roller skates? Anyway, that's a stupid detail that means nothing. I probably wasn't wearing roller skates. It's really funny that I remember it that way. But, yeah, maybe I did have roller skates. Maybe that was my excuse to my mom when I came home bloody. But let's get to the bloody part. We were near the school where I grew up, PS 178 in Holliswood, Radnor Road. Radnor Road. Or was it Avon Street? Anyway, we're crossing the street. There's like I think it's right next to the ramp to get on the Grand Central Parkway. And oof. I guess back then there was always some crazy trash in the road, or just anywhere really. It was a pretty messy time. And I think what we found in the street, I think at the time I might have thought it was like a gigantic light bulb. Like, to me, it looked like those sodium vapor lamps that were like our street lamps. Like, I thought it was one of those bulbs. But now that I'm older and I kind of know more about stuff, I think it might have been a cathode ray tube, like a TV set, like the interior of a TV set. So like so it would have been a vacuum tube, basically, a giant vacuum tube. And I think the vacuum is what caused this problem, because, and it did look like a vacuum tube because it had a big giant like socket attachment on the back. So it was face down in the road, and it was heavy. And for me, as I was a little kid, it was a gigantic thing that I could barely lift. Now, what was I doing lifting it? I don't know. We were stupid kids. But it was in the middle of the street, and I was like, I don't know if I was trying to do a good thing by moving it out of the street, or I was trying to do mischief and destroy a big glass-looking thing. Oh my god. I'm gonna be playing this game forever. So I pick up this big giant vacuum tube looking thing, and I drag it a few inches. It's heavy, right? Barely moving. And maybe I had roller skates on, I don't know. But I think I was just like, I think I was trying to blow it up or break it or something. Like, I think we wanted to break stuff back then. So I think I dropped it in the street, and it kind of blew up in my face. Yeah, I barely remember it, but it basically blew up. I blew myself up. Let's just put it that way. And all I really remember was having like bloody fingertips. So that's all. It was just the tips of my fingers. And I bet I had tiny shards of glass inside me. Like, for all I know, they're still there. Inching their way out of my body for the rest of my life. But I also remember going back to that location. You know, I think it was right by the school where we went to school. And I think there was still like this big pile of glass shards on the ground for probably a week, maybe more. But that's pretty fucked up. That's a fucked up story. And I remember getting home and telling my mom, oh, I fell in a rose bush or something and the thorns got to me. And I think she yelled at me. But that was it. End of that story. Big giant mystery vacuum tube blew up on me when I was a kid. Boy, we used to ride our bikes around like Cunningham Park. Kind of like if you watch Stranger Things, it was like that. And I'm just gonna keep going. And I remember around the 4th of July, we would go to the park after the 4th of July. But we'd go into the woods and like you could see where all over the place, all the like leftover firecrackers, fireworks. And for us mischievous kids, you know, we would bring a book of matches or a lighter and try to find some firecrackers that didn't blow up. And we'd sort of like cut them open, like if you bend them in half. And you could light them up and they'd look like sparklers, you know. It was pretty cool. And I know one of those times it didn't just sparkle, one actually blew up, pretty much blew up in my face, and my ears were ringing. Yeah, those are the days. Oh my god. There was a time when there are these things called jumping jacks. So it's kind of like a firecracker, except it's designed to, instead of explode, it's designed to shoot pretty much sparkles out some hole. And then it would kind of like, because it's offset, it would spin. What would they call jumping jacks? So like they would spin, but you know, kind of jump around. And I don't know if I was like a pyro, but one time I was in my bedroom and I was lighting a match near this jumping jack that I had, and it's that type of thing where it's now they call it what do they call it? It's a type of a thought. Oh my god. Of course people are probably screaming at the screen. I want to say like incoherent thought, but it's obviously not that. It's a it's like a bad thought. It's like intrusive intrusive thought. Anyway, intrusive thought. I lit a match. I had a jumping jack in my other hand. Did not mean for it to catch on fire. I lit the fuse in my bedroom. And you know, there's carpeting. It was like wall-to-wall carpeting back in those days. So the thing is like burning a hole in the rug or in the carpet. And I I think I had like a flannel shirt or something, and I think I covered it, and I guess that's it. Like I think it sort of like burnt itself out inside the flannel, and everything was fine. You know, now I know that cotton is a good fiber for fire resistance. Imagine if it had been synthetic, and that shit would have lit up like a wick. I have another cool story about fires. I'm gonna use up all my good stories. But one time, I used to have these like model rockets. Like I always had a model rocket that I was working on. But the funny thing is I never finished one. So for those who don't know, we would buy these like rocket engines. You just go to a model shop, and this is a thing kids did. They would buy a rocket engine, which was basically like a firework. You'd get this rocket engine. It's like the size of Jesus. I don't know. It's like a few inches long, maybe like a roll of quarters, and it came in all different sizes depending on the type of rocket you made. But I always had these rocket engines just sitting in my drawer because I always failed to finish a rocket, so I'd never make my rocket, but I still had the engine in my little desk drawer. And I don't know, I guess I had like keys or something, some kind of piece of metal, and I was like just grinding the gunpowder out of the rocket engine, making a big pile of it on a piece of paper on my desk, like an idiot. And guess what I did? I lit a match. But the funny thing is, I had this lit match, and I was just kind of like trying to light this gunpowder on fire on my desk, and I'm like, huh, it's not lighting. Like, it took a while, and just kind of playing with it. But sure enough, in like a super fast flash of lightning, that thing just kind of like blew up in my face. It didn't really blow up. It was like a flash of light. And I'm fine. I didn't burn anything. Oh my god, do I have a story? The stories keep coming, but I know I'm using them all up. I'm using up all my good fire stories. Oh my god! Alright, come on, we gotta get to level 9. This is ridiculous. Okay. Level 8. Maybe I'll concentrate. Oh, level 9. Damn right, I'm going to be quiet. Okay. Oh, I thought I would get 2,000. Wow, I made it. Took a half hour. Fuck, that took a long time. But I hope you liked my stories. Yeah, I also kind of blew myself up one time trying to light, and when I was older, when I was no longer a child. I had one of these old-timey ovens that you had to light manually, and I was having a cookout at my house because I had a house back then. Long story. But I had some friends over, and they were trying to heat up some tater tots, and they didn't know that I had an old-timey oven. So they were like, "Why isn't it lighting?" And I was running around, you know, like, you know how people run around when they're trying to be a host at a party? And I was like, "Oh, you gotta light it." So I didn't know that they had been standing there with the pilot, or with the gas on. Sorry. I hope I didn't just blow up someone's eardrums. But they had the freaking gas on for probably at least a minute, right? So the place is filling up with gas, and I guess I didn't smell it. And before anyone could say anything, I've got the lighter in my hand, my arm's inside the oven, and I'm blowing myself up. And this, like, flame is engulfing me, as I've been told later on. And, like, I had a burn on the back of my hand, where you could, like, see the patterns of my veins. And then it was like a broadly burnt, you know. It was like, it didn't look like a burn, it just looked red, but it was painful. And I had, like, didn't really burn off my eyebrows, but I think my eyelashes were sort of singed. So anyway, blew myself up. So I hope you've enjoyed stories of me getting bloody and blowing myself up multiple times. This is what it's like being Gen X. That's the theme. That's my theme. I don't know if I have any more stories left. I think I've used all my good stories, but I hope you enjoyed that. And I got to level 9, so I feel awesome now. Took a long time though. I don't know who's going to get to the end of this video, but there's a reward, right? So anyway, see you guys later.